Flosstube. Hello, crafty friends. Most of the morning I thought it was Wednesday today. I even asked Sarah, how did your midterm go? Have you done it yet? And she said, my midterm is tomorrow, Mom. So, it's Tuesday. Welcome back, Daily Crafty Chat. My name is Caroline, and I live in London, Ontario, Canada. So, Daily Crafty Chat, many of you come and visit me every day for a cup of coffee or with your supper or just to hang out and have a little chat and a stitch. I have a couple of things to share today. My Jeanette Douglas Blooming Bouquet Stitch Along, number 4, beautiful. I'm not going to show it to you today because I know my lowest number of stitches was 5. And then there was that day that I hit 14. Yesterday, last night, I put in 8 stitches. I'm not going to share that with you. But if the stars align, I might have an hour tonight to put in some stitches into that. So I'm really hopeful that I will have some progress to share with you tomorrow. Yes, so I am in the middle of packaging up orders. I mentioned yesterday that I had that small, well, it wasn't small. It wasn't really small. It was a little bit bigger than I always underestimate. I do the same thing with everything. Crafting. You know, long dog, pandemic. Oh, it'll take a month. Not that I ever said that in a million years, but you know, those of you who are like me, we love those large projects. It's the same. We tend to have a very optimistic outlook on how long things are going to take, not factoring in any unforeseen circumstances. So I had mentioned that I had those couple of bags that needed small repairs. Those did not go very well. They did not go according to plan, and so I had to remake 2 bags. Yeah, 2 bags. The third one, see, I will only repair a bag if the bag will remain perfect. It has to be perfect, or else I'm not going to send it out as a purchase, right? Because it should be perfect. So if it's a very minor thing that I've done that I can correct and the bag will still look perfect, then I'm good. These bags, in the end, I was so careful because, you know, if you take your time and you use your seam ripper really carefully and you can undo some stitches, you know, one at a time, pop them open and then repair what you need to, re-sew the line carefully, and everything looks neat and tidy, and you press it and it looks perfect, and all is well. All was not well with these 2 bags that I tried to fix. And in the end, I had to just say, these aren't gonna work. They're not gonna look good in the end. I mean, they would have looked fine, but they wouldn't have looked the way they should look. So I had to scrap them in the end. And so then I had to make a couple of bags from scratch. So, you know, it was just one of those moments where you thought, why didn't I just start over from the beginning? Because you feel like I just was spinning my wheels. Anyways, I have moved past that now. The bags are remade. Everything is good and ready to go. Excuse me, my nose is a little itchy, pardon me. I have started packaging. I'm still on track to have everything packaged and postage paid today. So I do everything in stages. So I don't package it and then immediately pay for the postage. I package everything and then I have to, you know, import it. A lot of orders are going to the States or international, so I have to upload them. You don't need to know all of the details. It's just everything all happens at once. So all of the packaging happens at once, and then all of the postage happens all at the same time for all of the packages. Not all at the same time. I still have to do them individually, but you know what I mean. It's not package it and then pay for postage on each order, because that would probably double or triple the amount of time that it would take me to do these things. So I've actually got a fairly slick system worked out, and once I get into that rhythm, it's quite nice. I can put on a TV show or some Flosstube and enjoy that. I cannot watch Flosstube anymore while I'm sewing because it is just too distracting. I I get so distracted by what they're talking about. Even if, you know, sometimes I will purposely choose a floss tuber who would stitch things that maybe aren't in my wheelhouse so that I can just have company and I can just listen. But invariably they'll say something and I'll just, you know, ooh, you have to look. And then when I'm really trying to focus on getting the sewing done, Flosstube is just too distracting. So anyways, but yeah, with packaging, I can put it on because I can be looking up while I'm doing various steps. Anyways, enough about that. I have a couple of crafty things to share with you today. Both of them finishes. I know yesterday I had said I had one finish and one work in progress. However, I've decided today to show you two finishes because one of them I have never ever shared before. And I thought it might be fun. So before I start, again, if you're new here, I have a dog. She lays beside me when I record, and she's a fair bit of a snorer. So if you hear some noise in your headphones that you can't tell where it's coming from, that's my dog. She's sound asleep. Sound asleep. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to share is something that I have shown before, maybe once, but it was at least a couple of years ago. So many of you will not have seen this before. And it's one of my favorite Christmas finishes that I've ever done. Are you ready? So it's just a super sweet little box finish. So what this is a Little House Needleworks. I think it's just called Holly and Berries. And this was a class that I took at a retreat. It was one of the Elmhurst retreat weekends that was put on by my, at the time, local needlework shop, Thread and I. And Kathy put together the finishing technique. So we all had, when we would go to a retreat, it's for the weekend. So Friday night and Saturday we would spend, you know, there would be a class, a couple of sessions on Saturday and then a class on Sunday morning, and then everybody would go home Sunday afternoon. So we spent most of Saturday stitching. So she chose a fairly small design that people could get done. And I think actually we started the stitching on the Friday night so that we would be done the stitching in time for the Sunday finish. And then on Sunday, she taught us how to put it together. And she had all of the supplies there, everything available for us to choose, fabrics and ribbons and all of that good stuff. And then we were able to put them together. So these are not the called for threads for this pattern. This was also the very first time I think that I used Vicki Clayton silks. And Kathy, the owner of the shop, had kitted up everybody's kit with a conversion of threads from Vicki Clayton. And so we all had, what's one of them? I can't remember. It had a really funny name for the green and I can't remember, but it was my first time using Vicki Clayton silks, and it was a great introduction to silk and beautiful floss and colors. And so once we had finished the stitching, then we were given a piece of, it's just styrofoam. So it's a square cut of styrofoam and some pins, and then it was like wrapping a present. So if I move the ribbon, you can see everything was, is that gonna focus? Everything was pinned in place. You see those pins there? And then you miter the corners and you pin the fabric in place. So you did that for both the stitched piece as well as the fabric backing. Okay, makes sense, right? Mitering the corners on both pieces of fabric. Where's my mitered corner on that one? Oh, this one, look at this one's on the opposite side. You can see my pin there. And then you use the ribbon, of course, to hide the seam. So it was one length of ribbon. How was this done again? Oh, I know. I can't quite remember how we did it, but I can tell that I have it pinned together at the bottom here. And so it's attached at the bottom with pins. There's like 4 pins across here. And then both sides of the ribbon are brought up around to the top. And then, oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, so the ribbon, the bow that's at the top, there are no ends. So the ends of the ribbon are buried at the bottom of the box. That's right. But how you did it was you had one really long piece of ribbon and you started by attaching both ends to the bottom first. And then you came up to the top and so you have now a huge long loop at the top. And then you just fold that loop down into the individual loops of the ribbon and you put a little pin in between each one. And then I had a big, this is one of my own pins, this one in the middle here. I added that. And then you've got your bow at the top. Really easy finishing, no sewing, just pins into styrofoam. And before you know it, it's done, it's finished. And it's one of my favorite Christmas ornaments. I love putting this out. So my bow is getting a little faded. So maybe at some point I might replace the bow, but for now, looks pretty good. So that's the first thing I wanted to share. Now the next thing that I wanted to share is not cross stitch, but it is, it's a form of embroidery or weaving, as it were. So because I was sharing that stitched piece that happened at a class, so these classes would happen every October retreat. So in the October retreat, every October we would take a new class at the retreat, and then there would be a second retreat in February, February, where it was just go and stitch and have fun. So one of the other October classes, we learned how to do this next project. Sorry, I just paused for the fire truck there, very close to my window out here. Okay, so this next project was also a full sort of kit that was given to us at the retreat, and then we were given the weekend to enjoy learning how to do it and making the project. And of course, Kathy had finished projects there for us to admire and look at and learn from, and she taught us how to do it. So this is called Huck weaving, or Swedish weaving, Swedish Huck weaving embroidery. I'm sure I've got my terminology wrong, but here's my pillow. Isn't it beautiful? Of course, you can see right away what colors I chose. No surprise, my tastes haven't changed ever. It is, of course, my favorite burgundy, and there are some, this here is almost a brownish burgundy shade that's in there. So I don't remember the name of the pattern designer, but I think that, see, with the way that these charts work is that the pattern you receive is only 1/4 of the chart, and then you would you know, move it around so that, because all 4 corners are exactly the same. And I'll bring it in close so you can see the fabric that the stitch is worked on. Can you see that there? So you take your needle and you slide it under those 2 little things of strands of two threads there. You would take your needle that's threaded and you would slide it under 4 or 5 of those spots there, and then pull the needle through, and that creates that line of stitching there. And then you can kind of see where you'd bring the thread down here and you'd catch it down in there, and you'd catch 2 or 3 other threads in the same place. That right there is a pretty good place where you can see where I brought those 2 threads down to meet in the middle there. This was such a satisfying thing to make and do. And Kathy, of course, had pre-sewn all of these pillow forms out of this special fabric, so we just got to have the pleasure of sewing right on the finished pillow. And of course, it's all surface embroidery. You're never really going to the back. Even your threads are buried when you start them. They're buried at the front. You do it in such a special way that you can't see where you're starting and stopping your threads. And it's all done from the beginning, from the top, excuse me. And then she had the pillow forms there for us as well. So we got to take that home and stuff the pillow when we were done. And then, if we wanted to, we could also make use of the fabric on the back. And so I did an extra little design on the back as well, which is super pretty. So again, this is called Huck Embroidery, and it was really fun, and I would definitely do it again. And I think I have 1 or 2 other charts in my deep stash 10-15 years ago that I bought them, I think. And I even have the fabric and the threads too, and it's navy and it's beautiful. And so this has been a throw pillow on our bed for a very long time, and it gets tossed on the ground, not by me, but I've given up, you know, minding, because it's pretty hardy. You know, it's lasting quite well. So you know, these types of things I think are meant to be used and loved, and yeah, I'm super pleased with it. So I hope you enjoyed me sharing this with you. I've never shared this before. I look around the house and I think, oh, I made that, and I made that, and I made that, and I haven't shown you this, and I haven't shown you that. So I think I've got some podcast material to share with you over the next little while that maybe I haven't shown you before. Either that, or I've shown it to you before and I've completely forgotten because my memory, who knows. But you can tell me if you remember these things or not. Anyways, so that was kind of fun. I hope you enjoyed that. And that's it for me today. I have to drive John out to the mechanic to pick up his car. I don't even know what he was having done with it. Something needed fixing. He's had a lot of trouble with the air conditioning. Not that he would have needed the air conditioning over the last couple of days. Week, 2 weeks. It's cold here. Oh, there was that one hot day. But other than that, he hasn't needed the air conditioning. So I'm not quite sure what's wrong with it. Maybe it was just getting a service. Who knows? Anyways, I have to drive him out to the mechanic to pick up the car. We are out of dog food, so I need to stop and buy dog food. I need to figure out what we're going to have for dinner. And I need to finish packaging up these orders and get them out. So I better get a wriggle on. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. And I hope that you have some time to do some stitching tonight. And fingers crossed, I have more than 8 stitches to share with you tomorrow on my Jeanette Douglas stitch along piece. Take care, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy stitching. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.